Great. Okay, so now I've got the basic paint application on my wood surface with the 2 coats of antique, vintage, market, and design furniture paint. Again, we did the first coat very light, scrubbed it into the wood surface so it had a chemical bond. Did the second coat in the same crosshatch pattern, but thicker so that it leveled out and gave us a nice surface. Now I am going to let this dry overnight until tomorrow, and then I will proceed with my finished products. And want to just mention to you, the Vintage Market Design Furniture Paint line was formulated for all the products to work together. And one of the great things about this line is there's so much to choose from, so many finishes you can do, and they are made to work together. So I wanted to just mention all of the product line for Vintage Market Furniture Paint is formulated to be used together. So you don't want to go to the garage and get that half can of polyurethane you had from another project and use it on top, because we don't know what it's going to do. We know that if you use the finishing products from Vintage Market and Design, you're not going to have yellowing or cracking or dripping or any problems like that. So you want to make sure that you use the entire line together. It's really formulated that way, and you'll get a much better result. One of the things that we love to use to finish is the wax, and it comes in black, different shades of brown, clear, and white. And the wax actually is not a sealer for this product line. It's a really lovely wax that does not have petroleum-based products in it, no smell. It's not hard to apply or hard to buff off, but what it will do is enhance your color and give it more depth. So even if you use a black silk wax over the raven black paint, you're going to get a lovely deep finish that looks more finished and more complete, but it's not going to seal it for you. You still want to go over with your sealers. So with the wax, what we advise you to do is just put it on very lightly with a brush or a towel and wait about 20 minutes, and then you're going to go back over and buff it. And the microfiber towels that you can get on the market that don't have lint are wonderful to do that, because they really grab the excess. And what's happened with the wax is it's evaporated into your wood surface, and then it's absorbed into your wood surface, and then what's left on the surface evaporates, and anything that's left is excess. So you don't need a lot. You don't need to use a lot of wax to get the lovely results. And then after you get your wax on, you're going to buff it and get all of that excess off. You don't want to have any fingerprints or any tackiness to it. If you do, you've still got too much on there. After that, if we do the wax or a glaze to give the antique look to the surface, we're going to finish off with a clear coat. And I know in a lot of lines of chalk-based paint, it's not necessary, they say, to use a clear coat, and they say the wax is a sealer. And we've found that this doesn't work with this line. You really do want your work to last a long time, and the sealer is going to give you that hard finish, so that if you've got kids, dogs, people bumping into furniture, you don't have to worry about it chipping and peeling and all that work that you've done going away. So there's several kinds of sealers to use. There's the clear coats, which are water-based. They dry nicely, they do not yellow, and they come in finishes in everything from satin to glossy, and they can be applied with either a brush or a cellulose sponge that's slightly damp. And once you get them, and we do like to use the clear wax sometimes on the dark colors and then use the sealers, because it just goes on smoothly and it gives you a nicer flow to your clear coats. And then the new product is the matte finishing cream, which I just love because it maintains that chalky matte finish that you like so much, but you have more performance, because if you were not to seal, it would act the same way as a flat wall paint does, and you know how those are hard to clean. The matte finishing cream is going to give you the same chalky look, but it's easy to clean, and it's going to seal it and protect your surface. And this one can be applied with a brush or a slightly damp cellulose sponge, and you either rub it or brush it on and let it sit for 20 minutes, and then all you're going to do is give it a very light polish. You don't need to get in there and scrub it. You don't want to, because you don't want to disturb it. You're just going to get the excess off, give it a nice polish, and you've got a lovely protected surface. You also can use the gray finishing pads that are available through Vintage Market and Design Furniture Paint, and they call that the baby butt finish, because this will take off the slightly microscopic high points that you can't see with the naked eye, and when you touch it, it's just lovely. So invest in one of these too. You'll love the finish. And have fun painting.